Hello, my name is Randy Ripke. I'm the developer of TASbillerCloud. The following video will help explain features of the program. If you have any questions, please feel free to email or call. I hope you enjoy your use of TASbillerCloud. Hello, this is Randy Ripke, the developer of TASbillerCloud. During this video, we're going to discuss customer file maintenance, which includes how to add new customers and the various features available for customer analysis. To go into customer file maintenance, you can use the ribbon menu, the file maintenance menu, or click on customers directly from the main menu. We're then presented with a listing of accounts, which you can choose directly and edit, or you can also manipulate this grid and export it to a CSV file. You can choose which columns are displayed. You can add, remove columns. You can move columns around. If you want this phone number to be before the name, you can drag and drop. You can also sort columns by simply clicking on the name and have it sort alphabetically. Then within the grid itself, there are many search options for each category. It's quite a powerful searching tool, and it's kind of the beginning of custom reports because you can create your own grid format with the different columns you want, sorted or grouped the way you like, and so forth. Now, when you first come into customer file maintenance, let me go back out and back in again. If you know you want to go straight to account 4005, for example, you can type that in, press enter, and here's account 4005. There are many tabs available in customer file maintenance. The summary tab has the basic information such as customer's name and address, contact names and phone numbers, optional fields for fax numbers and federal employer identification numbers, location addresses, the date the rate was updated most recently, the last date they paid, the date of last invoice, and any disconnect information if that's the case, the type of account, any coding that you're doing as far as the account codes or the source codes, where did this customer come to you from, is there a salesperson involved, the CSR that might be maintaining this account, which company they're assigned to if you're using multiple companies, and which billing cycle to bill on if you have multiple billing periods. There's also a notes field, so you can make some quick notes about this client if you like. Now notice I made a few changes here and an asterisk appeared by the save button. This is alerting me that I've made some changes and be sure to save them. Once I save them, I get confirmation and I can go on with the next tab if I like. If I make some changes and say this is the Delray Beach office, and I've made a change but I haven't saved it, if I decide to go to the next customer, it's going to prompt me to save those changes, yes or no. So if I say yes, it's going to save those changes and bring up the next customer. If I go back to that customer I was working on, you'll see that my changes were saved. The mapping works primarily off the location address or billing address in that sequence. So if there is a location address, the location address will supersede the billing address insofar as the mapping works. The Options tab includes the ability for you to choose a unique invoice template for this customer, a unique email template, which has the invoice attached to it, purchase order number to appear on the invoice, and a personalized invoice message for this client. This is also showing the different methods I'm using to bill this client. So I'm going to be printing an invoice and also mailing it to this email address. If I'm going to be charging the customer's credit card, I would plug in this information here and select Auto Charge Credit Card. To do that, I would check that box, create a profile ID, and if I had that customer's credit card information handy, I could then create a payment ID. If this customer is exempt from late fees or any other notices, I can choose those options here. And very soon in the future, you'll see us with the document storage where you can store service agreements, BA agreements, and so forth. You see this returned a profile ID for us. Once we have that number returned back to us from Sage in this case, I can then create the payment ID and enter the client's or the customer's credit card information. Again, I'm going to save changes. The asterisk is reminding me down here. The rate tab is grouped into several sections. Fixed charges are those that are a fixed dollar amount that are recurring for every billing period. The quantity charges will be based on the usage during that previous period for billing purposes. Sales taxes, percentage charges can be discounts. Sub-accounts, if you have more than one sub-account, they'll all be listed here. You can have different types of sub-accounts. We'll have a separate video discussing sub-accounts in the future. And of course, the total charges over here. When you go to add a charge, so we're going to add a fixed rate charge to this account, you'll only see charges that are flagged as being fixed rate charges from posting account file maintenance. So if I want to charge this customer an additional $15 administrative charge, you can see my total updated. Again, I want to save these changes. If I want to change the sequence that something is displayed on the invoice, say I want operator time to be ahead of message charges, I can select that field and drag and drop it up, and again save. And now when the invoice prints, it's going to print the operator time before the message charges and then the patch charges. Sales taxes, again, only the sales tax categories will be available, and save those. Percentage charges, I think I only have one in here. Here's a 10% discount. So now that's taking $16.40 off this person's bill and adjusting it accordingly. The next tab is transactions, and this is showing the raw data from the previous billing period. And I believe this one has some data here. You can choose different billing periods to look at. Notice these fields are grayed out, so you can't change the numbers accidentally from a prior billing. This is the raw data that came in from your TAS system that was used to calculate this client's most recent bill. On the Invoice Payments tab, you'll see all the charges for that client and all the payments that were made. The payments and the charges can be edited using the wrench tool to edit. This is showing us the date of the payment, in this case, the amount they paid, the check number, and the various invoices this payment was applied to. I can also undo a payment if I want. Say this charge on the 10th was charged to this account in error. I can use the undo button and delete that payment, which will then cause the invoice to become unpaid and will be redistributed the next time I do billing. Another important feature of the Invoice Payments tab is this gold printer icon you see over here. When you click on it, you can view the actual invoice that was sent to the client. You can save this invoice as a PDF, or you can email it to either the client, or you can plug in an optional email address and have it go there. So if I wanted to email this to myself, I could change that address if I wanted to, click on email, and off it goes. Which is very handy for a client that calls and asks for a copy of a prior month's invoice. On the Analysis tab, I can see the dollar per minute and dollar per message for this client, and also see graphically their usage, if it's been going up or down the last 3 billing periods. To add a new customer, I click on Add New Customer, and I enter an account number, give the customer a name, accounts must have an account type, and they must have a billing cycle. If you leave one of these blank and try to save the changes, you'll be alerted that this field is required by the red outline. So it's going to make you choose one of these billing cycles and then save the customer. I can then plug in my address, And if I save at this point, it's going to map based on the billing address field. Now if I plug in a location address, and save again, notice the star is here. It's going to change the map to show the location, the physical location, versus the billing location. I would then plug in contact names and phone numbers, types of business, how this client was found, the referral by a previous customer perhaps, and if there's a salesperson involved, and again save my changes. The next thing I'd want to do is make sure I have an email address for billing. And save that. And then plug in my rate plans. So say I have a base charge of $199, and I'm going to add 2 different quantity charges. One is my operator time. So for $199, they might get 150 minutes at $1.75 per minute. And I charge for patch charges, and that rate is 55 cents per minute. So I've entered this person's rate plan, click on save, and I'm done. I've successfully added a new customer and entered all the necessary information for billing for this client. Notice the active and billable checkboxes in the corner. This controls whether this account should be billed or not, or if it's not to be billed. Some of us have house accounts, there are employee accounts or test accounts, where I expect activity but they're not billable. This way they don't get listed on the exception report when you load your task billing data during billing. And this concludes customer maintenance.